Hey folks, Ben from eXplorminate here, and welcome to episode 4 of this Let's Play series of Shadow Empire by VR Designs. This is an excellent game. It's one of my favourite games already, and it's only been, well, I've only had my hands on it for just over a week, so it's already shaping up in this, even in this unfinished state, to be one of the best strategy games I've ever played. Now, I hesitate to say stuff like that simply because it's quite possible that I'll come across something that I don't like about this game a little bit later on. But at least for the time being, it's really entertaining me with its deep and it's complex, but it's simple and relatively simple and streamlined to play. The user interface is really good. All the information that you need is mostly presented to you in a really easy to find format. I just think it's a really great game, so I'm just so happy and excited to be playing it. With that out the way, where were we last time? Now, one thing I just noticed as we ended that last episode was that if you look at our logistics, we are sending logistics down into some of these roads, and we're getting way more than we need to resupply these units. I can't remember, I don't know exactly how much it is that these guys are going to be requiring just for 600 men, but I'm pretty sure it's not 60 points. So we're actually losing this. We're losing this extra logistics in each of these points. It's wasting it. So what we want to do is, if we hit the T key, we can start using the traffic light mode. Now, I've already done this, but if you look here, on the point, it tells you how many logistic points are on this hex, and in each of the directions on the hex, there's it points at the roads that you've got. Right? It says no road on this one, and this one, because there's no roads in those directions. So we want to block off most of the trucks from going down to the south. So I'm going to hit it on 95%. We don't need that much. We hit the button there, and then we click on back. And now you'll see that there's this little orange bar. And if we press P, this will show us our projected logistics along this route now. So you'll see this turn, we in this hex here, 2232, hex number 2232, we've got 60 logistic points this turn. And if we look on, if we click on this bar here and we look at used points, it will tell you how many was used. So these guys used 6 logistics points, and it was in that square there. So we know where we moved from even. So they just want 6. So if we go back to current, we've got 60. That's 10 times what they need. So if we now press P, or we click on this preview points, it will show us how many we're going to get here. Now in this point, next turn we're going to get 7. That's enough for these guys to be able to completely resupply themselves. So that is fine. That 95% that we've chosen there is absolutely fine. It may be worth doing this in some of the other areas too. So if we just look at what the used points were, we used 32 points, two sets of 32, I think that is. Let me just double check that. If you press the 1 key, it will actually get rid of your unit, so you can actually see what's going on. So where are we? Initial points. Okay, I'm not quite sure which one it was that they were used, but yeah, we were using 32 there, so we need to make sure there's at least 32 along this particular point. So what I really want to do is try and get as many logistics points up in this point as possible, because we need to support the advance of the 3rd Richter Snow Mobile Battalion. So with that in mind, we're going to put on from here another set of another traffic light. So I'm going to do it from Richter Snow itself, and then if we stop 80, let's just try 80, press the P key again, and yeah, so we're going to be sending out about 30. We're going to be getting about 40 here. That should be fine to supply these units, and it will mean now that we should have more going into this direction. So where before we would be getting 8 in hex 1524, now we're getting 63, which will be more than enough to keep this unit in supply. Another way that we can ensure that we're getting more supply is to build supply bases. So the way that supply is worked, you have these one of your asset buildings In this case, it's a privately owned transport hub, but the transport hub is what is providing you with your initial truck points, right? And you've got 400 truck points. So if we hit one, I don't know if you can see there, but let's look at the traffic light button. There we go. So you can see this little 400. It's quite hard to see over the graphics, but there's 400 truck points coming out of this particular city, and that's being generated from that transport hub 1. So each tile that you travel along from reduces the amount of transport points, because they're having to use their own fuel in order to drive those supplies out. And it drastically starts falling off after about 4 tiles, as I understand it. I think that's about right. Yeah, look. So for here, we've got 333, and then 317 up until 4 tiles away. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it starts dropping off very quickly. So what we want to do is we want to place a supply base here. Now, we don't have the resources for a supply base, I don't think, at the moment, but this would be the position to put it. Let me just, sorry, I just hit the wrong key. This would be the place to put it here, and we go to construct, and we just go to logistics and then supply base. Now a supply base will take 50 industrial points and 50 metals, and also 200 workers. We don't have those at the moment. What do we get for this? Oh, and every turn it will use it. We need to have 300 workers for it, and we also we're going to have to pump in fuel, so we're going to take a slight hit to our fuel production. But in return, we get Trickett AP extension points. And essentially what this is going to do is going to extend this 317 up several hexes further. So it's going to enable us. It's like a relay point. And it represents some extra bureaucracy and administration in your logistics, and in your truck teams, truck working schedules, that kind of stuff that allow them to more efficiently transport these goods up to where you need them. We can't build it yet, like I say, and we also need to consider building this mine as soon as possible. But so the next job, as we roll the turn on, will be to build a road up to this mine. And we'll just wait for the AI to take its turn. What we want to be doing is to moving up to the Jura regime and just seeing what they've got around that city before we think about invading them. Okay, so we've gained technology fascination. This is a regime feat that we got through the mind attribute, and this is going to help us with our research. We've discovered a tech called sealed roads, so we can actually make concrete roads now. Concrete roads will enable us to project more of those truck points further and with less effort. We found in ancient storage, we found 156 credits. That's excellent. More money is always good, right? And we've got a spy card that we can use. First things first, let's do that. So the way that covert ops works is you go into your stratagems, and this is where you got all your stratagem cards, and then we have this send spy card. It costs 4 political points to send. That's why political points are a really important currency. We also it then tells you how it works. So we've got the spy card here. The target zone at the moment is set to our own. We can't use it because you can't target yourself. Now it's executed by Simba Jackson, who is our supreme command council leader, and it's going to be using his covert ops role, I believe. So this is used in the generation of strategic cards. I think that's what it's using. I may be wrong there, but either way, he's going to make a roll. Now, what we do is we click on target, and on the strategic map we select Jura. That's where we want, and then we click on execute stratagem. Now you'll see before we do that it gives you a difficulty, and it tells you what you need to roll in order to beat it. So that's 41. We get 1d100 plus 16. So the odds are in our favour that this will work.
Roger that.
There we go. Success. We managed to infiltrate a spy in. So we only just beat it. We rolled a 51 and we needed 41. So kind of a close call. So with that out of the way, next turn we're going to get some more information about what's going on in this place. However, by this point, we will be able to move our units up themselves to check. before we do anything else, I just want to take a look at this decision. So a group of 6,000 refugees is trying to enter into the zone Richtersnow. They're fleeing from Lazaria. The president of Lazaria has radioed us to make clear we should not allow them in. So this is one of these decisions that happens every turn or so, and this one is going to affect our regime profiles, right? So in this case, it's a psychological profile that we're looking at. Now, we can welcome them or we can send them back. A heart, we can basically add to heart and remove from fist, or we can gain 7 points on fist. Now, all of these are going to be useful. But psychology heart gives us, at 40, gives us the opportunity to learn national pride, which gives a morale bonus of plus 40%, which is pretty hefty. I just want to double check this. So let's go into the proficiency screen, and in heart, sorry, national pride. So yeah, we get a morale bonus of 40% straight up, and then it also unlocks the stratagem hold the line. And hold the line is something that we can add as a stratagem card to our organizational staff council. So you can add this to the organizational HQ, and it will affect all of the units that are underneath it. So whatever formation you have, and then any infantry forces in that formation get a 50% bonus on defense and negative 60 on attack, and then they retreat at 80% losses. So this basically makes them a lot more defensive, and this is one of the reasons why, again, this game's so cool, right? Rather than when you're attacking, even though you might have this, you might have a sort of a standard unit attacking another standard unit with all these statistics, and with all the general's kind of instructions to his subordinates all sort of abstracted under the hood. You can actually affect the way that the general's approaching the battle using these cards, but they're not something that you can control every single time. You actually have to play them. So this represents a kind of situational, the leader's situational ability to kind of play the role that he needs to play, and that ability is not always going to be there. I just think I like this card system. I think it's really clever. And it's a really interesting way of allowing the player to use some quite powerful abilities without giving them the option to do it all the time. And that's something that if you have powerful abilities in games, the player wants to use them all the time, right? And it can get a bit boring. Okay, the militia are going to move further out, and we're going to start moving towards Saint Mard. So there we go. And there's a cargo ship here, a derelict spaceship. So a burned out skeleton of what was once a proud small spaceship has found its grave here. There's plenty for our researchers to scavenge. Research bonus points plus 100. We really want that. That's super useful. However, I would like to scout more with the 4th Richtersnow Mobile Regiment, but I want to get them down as quickly as possible to start the assault on Jura. And I want to get that assault done as quickly as possible. Let's move the 2nd Richtersnow Guards Battalion down. And we've just discovered a place called Red Bar, which is another luxury brothel. So this is obviously some kind of pleasure planet originally. We found that luxury brothel, and it's also guarded. Now it's guarded by some unknown units. We've only got 8 recon on there, so we haven't got enough recon to hit the 40 that we need in order to see what units we've got there. So at the moment, this is Vomanum territory, and we're not at war with them. I don't know if we've got a report on Vomanum yet. No, we haven't got anything there, so we don't know who they are. We don't know anything about them. We do know that they're likely to be raiders. That's all we know. Let's move this formation down. I'm going to move them as a group. If you press G, it will pick up the entire stack and move them. And then you just hit M to go back to your single move again. I was going to move them up this direction, and I realized that we are not going to be able to get across these mountains quickly. It was much quicker I actually counted it. It would have taken something like 6 or 7 turns to get up here from where they were. Whereas if we go around this way, it's probably going to be a matter of 3 or 4. So that was 1, 2, 3. It's going to be like 4 turns until they can get into position, at least into the Jura territory. And there we are. There's Jura itself, as you can see. So let's just move up and see if we can get some scouting on it. We don't. Well, they've got 6 units there. Again, we've only got 23 recon points, so we can't actually see what's there yet. Now, we did, I believe, create a buggy unit. There we go. So let's move these buggies. Let's move these buggies up as far as we can go. Now, you'll notice that we've got 55 logistics points here, so these guys are going to have a better chance of being supplied. I'll just turn off the logistics, the supply view for the moment. Let's just have a look at why it is that the supply drops so quickly. So, for example, like I said, once we built the supply base here, it will project this out. However, I think it's something to do with this lava river here. I think that's part of the reason why there's no supply getting any further than this. Let's just press P to see what the projected is. Yeah, we're going to be getting more next turn for some reason. It's projecting 63 instead of 55. I think it probably would have been 63, but we've already drawn some. If we look back at our used points, yeah, we've drawn 8, so that makes perfect sense. 55, 63 is at -8, yeah. So now we've got our logistics looked at. We're just going to start moving these guys a little bit closer. I'm going to bring them this way. Oh, what have we found here? A new camp. Okay, this is a refugee camp. If we get this within our borders, we're going to get an extra 200 population per turn. That's a nice little bonus for the start of the game. We want to be getting population as soon as possible. One of the primary ways that your towns get population, I think, is that they attract them in from the free folk around them. So you want to make your cities as pleasant as possible to be in, and that mostly happens through your private sector, building buildings, building constructions that increase your quality of life. We can also help that along somewhat with some of the things that we can build. But at the start of the game, particularly on a game like this, we really need to be getting territory, building up a basic military force, and more importantly, securing several things. First we need water, then we need food, and then we're going to need power. And before all of that, we actually need metal. So I'm going to build a road up to this hex. You could actually just click on the hex itself, and then click construct, and go to mining, and click on this here, and click on metal mining facility, and you could build it, and then it would actually build the road itself. At the moment, it's saying we can't do that because there's no logistical network to the building. To the mine, and that is because we've literally just built the road. Okay, I think that's... Oh, we have a decision to do. So we've got refugees at the border. We did get this far, didn't we, before? So I was going to look at Heart. That's right. So we decided that Heart would be a good thing to go for because of national pride. So let's take this one. We're going to lose some. We're going to lose some relationship with John Dark, but that's okay. We want to boost Heart up. Okay. You will have to lose relationships with various people at various times. It's just unfortunate how that happens. Okay, so I think we've done everything we can, and we're going to roll the turn on. I'm interested to get our buggies up to Jura, up to the city or the large town, whatever it is, and to see what units they've got there. Now, in some of the other games that I've been playing, it's mostly the minor factions have mostly been farmers, and they really don't put up much resistance. And they've got juicy things to take because when you've got a planet that can sustain farming, there are often arable lands, so they're great to take because you can start building, you can start getting food immediately. However, on this lava planet, that's not going to be the case, and we've got raiders. Okay, so this is good. we found some Galactic Republic era equipment near St. Mard. So this allows us to recruit 10 GR Velociraptors. These are laser tanks, which are going to be a great help. So let's just let's see where they are. They're up here. Look, here we go. So let's just take a quick look at this unit, and we can see what it's about. Ancient Galactic Republic equipment taken into our service. This is a medium tank. Its main armament is a light laser gun. It's been issued 25mm liquid armor. With a nuclear engine, it has an extremely overpowered engine. So 25mm liquid armor is not going to be very much good armor against anything bigger than a rifle round. Liquid armor is designed, I think, to stop other laser weapons. However, at the moment, this is going to be one of the most powerful things on the battlefield. So, I mean, look, we have a soft attack here of 338, hard attack 539. This is going to absolutely chew through anything that we come across. It's also got a recon value of 6. So this thing is good, and it's also super fast because it's got a really, really powerful engine on it. So let's get this thing down as quickly as possible, and we want to get him up to Jura. I think I'm just going to move towards this cargo ship. There we go. Don't want to move too far out of supply. And he can stay. Maybe we'll move him here. No, I'll leave him there for the moment. And what I'll do is I'll move the first Richter Snow Guards Battalion towards this new camp, and we found a metal biped as well. Metal biped, I think this gives you research bonus. Yes, okay, so an ancient mech has been incapacitated here. It is a treasure trove for military researchers, and this gives us 100 military research points. Now, we've not created our military research council yet, so that's something that we can do soon. Military advisors requested. So the President of the Jura Republic has requested us to supply him with a few dozen military advisors. No doubt to use on us when we invade them. Well, this is going to give us autocracy points at the expense of meritocracy. Now we're at the point where autocracy is going to affect meritocracy because it's over 50. I think I'm going to go for this. I'd like those extra points. So we got 57, and it didn't seem to drop meritocracy. So obviously it wasn't enough to knock it down a point. Let's move these militia units up as far as we can go. And we're going to group. I don't think we can group move these because there's another unit in there. So I'll move them individually. Let's just remove that logistics. I also like to take the supply indicator off from time to time. The reason being is because it sometimes it tricks me into thinking I'm playing on a green planet, and I'm not. We are on some crazy desert planet that's covered in, or some rocky plains planet covered in volcanoes. So yeah, let's not make that mistake that we're playing in a hospitable environment, because we're not. Okay, we've got some recon on Jura now. What have they got? They've got 12,000 raiders that we can see. Oh, and they've got 30,000 raiders. So 42, 50, 61, 70, 78. So we've got a lot of men. 7,800 men. This is too much for us to deal with right now. The best we can do, let's just take a look at our logistics again. And the best we can do now is wait for not only these laser tanks to come up, but also the 5th Light Battalion too. Okay, so yeah, we'll wait for those to move up, and in the meantime, we're going to try and explore as much as we can with everybody else. I'm going to move these guys down here. There we go. Try and keep them together a little bit. Now, as it's a good idea just to check your stratagem cards, just to see if there's anything that you can use. There is a tendency, well, I've had a tendency not to use my stratagem cards, and they just sort of pile up, and you'll especially if you've got political points to use them, you might as well use them. Sometimes they can give you some really cool stuff. So, what have we got? I don't think there's anything here we can really use. Insult. Politicians insult this foreign power in one of their party meetings. Okay. Why would you want to do this? Why would you want to reduce your relations when you could just invade them anyway? Well, the reason is that if you have high relations with a faction and then you want to make war with them, you will take a hit to your colony's happiness, because they thought that you were friends, and they're like, why are you going to war with people who like us? So it's wise to actually reduce your relationship with them in some way, whether it's by making unreasonable demands or upsetting them in some way, or like playing one of these stratagem cards, which deliberately pisses them off. Yeah, there's nothing else we can really use here, so let's just let's roll on to the next turn. I think we're done. Yeah, it looks like we're done there. And on this turn, we should be able to get some more units up to get a better idea of what's going on at Jura. Okay, so in one turn, the effects of the Tide of Learning will come into full force. We are still getting some bonus research points to our bonus, or bonuses to our research points. We've got another spy, which we're going to use immediately, and a few other pieces of a few other stratagem cards. Okay, let's use that spy. More spies are always good. So click on the spy, select Jura itself. We've got to get over 38, and we D100 plus 25. So we got a critical success. We rolled 113, which was significantly more than 38. I'm not sure what the threshold is for a critical success. The effect of this is we have managed to infiltrate double the number of spies. So we've got 2 spies over there instead of 1. Okay. And a legendary courtesan has appeared in Richtersnow. Our brothel in Richtersnow has attracted an exotic courtesan from a land far away. It is possible to rent her for specific assignments to leaders who need some motivation. Okay. I don't know if we have anybody at the moment that would benefit from the tender ministrations of a expert whore. Let's just check our... This is a screen where you can compare your personnel, and if we can sort it by relation. So let's just sort this by the... Right, okay, the lowest relationship we've got 60. That's the governor of Richtersnow. He's a level 5. How did I miss that before? Okay, let's just check. Just double check this. Yeah, Guy Neon Void. That's a cool name. Guy Neon Void is a capacity class 5, which means he's got the potential to get really, really, really good. He's the best person that we can have for this particular colony. I mean, he's the best person we could have for anything, but he's really intelligent and he's really charismatic and he's good in a battle. He's got good willpower as well. This guy is not going to give us too many problems, providing that we keep him sweet. He's quite ambitious. He's only got about 50 ego. This guy's really good. Might be worth using this courtesan on him just to raise his loyalty up past 60, because the higher we get over 50, the better. He'll start getting bonuses to some of the roles that he's making. While I remember, there's also an advisor that we all have in our cabinet. Now the advisor is, here we go, it's Marlow Zircon Lord. Another crazy name. Now the advisor is somebody you can attach to your other leaders, and he will use his abilities to, let's say that your leader has to make a roll. If your advisor has a higher skill in that particular field, he will make the roll for it. So the way that these skill rolls work, I don't really understand this fully yet, but it's something like, let's say you have to make a diplomacy roll. You've got a skill in diplomacy here, and what it does is it adds your charisma, because it's a charisma skill. It will add your charisma to whatever bonus that you've got from this diplomacy skill itself in the level, and then it does some calculations and then comes up with a total. Now, as I understand it, the skills only start to give you positive bonuses once you've got 20 points or over in it. It says something like that in the manual. I'll just double check that before I come back. But so yeah, you want to raise these up as much as possible through experience, going back to the advisor, this person is someone we can attach to give their general skills to somebody else. So let's figure somebody who might want to. Let's have a look at the his abilities in intelligence. He has technical ratings 53. That's quite high, and that's what we're going to be using for science. So let's attach this person to the director of the Economic Council. That will make it so they're likely to be able to make extra rolls for them on these science rolls, because I'm pretty sure that our Economic Council character wasn't that good. Let me just double check. Yeah, his technical rating's 5. That's really not good. So while I would like him to get better in this particular field, I mean, he's a capacity 1. We need to get rid of him as soon as possible. He's rubbish. However, that advisor will do a much better job. So the advisor can essentially do his job for him for the time being. Okay, so the legendary Courtesan, I'm going to rent her services. So you'll find her services among your stratagems. So I wondered why there was a reason why there was all these brothels on the map. Let's go to our stratagems and we'll be able to see that Courtesan card. There we go. A legendary Courtesan guaranteed to improve your relationships for you. So I think if I use this, I can use her again at some point. Now, the more emotional and the more corrupt, the better. So let's see if we can target our Guy Neon Void with him. No tests necessary. Guy Neon Void was pleased with your wonderful present. Relation increased with at least 20 points. So let's go back to just have a look at him. Guy Neon Void, where is he? Just have a look in zones, and he's gone up to 80. Now, with a guy of this caliber, with 80, with 80 relationship with us, that's going to really help things. Like, seriously, it's really going to help things, because your zone commanders are very important. Let's start moving these men up. And we've got a militia unit formed. The 6th Richter Snow Guards Regiment. They're quite a big one too. 1600 rifle militia, some 100 RPGs, 100 machine guns, and 20 irregular artillery. These want to be getting up here too, I think, because artillery is what we need. We've got a lot of men here, and if we, I mean, that amount of artillery is not going to do a huge amount. However, something is better than nothing. Eventually, later on in the game, when you start building, when you start creating your own artillery formations, and you've got battalions that will give you about 5 or 50 pieces. A regiment will give you like 20 or 200. So when you've got 200 pieces of artillery or firing at an infantry formation, it makes quite a mess, especially if you put large howitzers on them. So yes, this game is most fun. Let's move these guys towards this metal bipod. We'll just expand this out a little bit just to keep these guys hemmed in. I want to take as much of their territory as I can without really seriously antagonizing them. Now, somebody here has cut off our supply. Did you see what happened there? They cut off our supply to this line. Now, before we roll the turn on, I want to see how many points we've got. Let's just figure out where we want to put this supply base. I'm going to put it there. It's 4 away. So let's put that supply base down and start construction. Yeah, it's only one round with 200 workers, 50 metal and 50 industrial points, and it will come up quickly, and this will instantly give us a boost to our our supply lines in this direction, and that's really important. I think I might just move up this way. We're not going to attack these guys yet. They might attack us because we're essentially driving all over their lawn and they're not going to be very happy about that. There we go. I don't think they'll attack us, but they might do. If they do, they probably won't do too much damage. Okay, now we've used 50 metal and 50 of our industrial points in order to build that supply base. I do wonder if it might be worth building building our mine as well. Now let's just double check how much it costs. Okay, it's not gonna cost any metal. It's gonna cost 2 rounds of 125 industrial points. Alternatively, we could replenish some of the troops, because if you remember, we built that brigade of infantry at under strength, so we need to make up 2,000 troops. Now we could probably do that this turn. Oh, we can make 15. We do need these troops as well. The metal might be more important though. Decisions, eh? Let me just double check how much this cost again. It's no metal, it's just the industrial points that's the issue. Let's start that construction. I want that. That's important. And whatever else we've got left now, we're going to build with. We're going to make into GIs. We need to make sure his sum is left. It looks like it's going to be men that is the limiting factor here. So let's just get all of them. Let's try and build that formation up as quickly as possible. We might also need some more buggies. The thing is about infantry, they're really not that strong in attack. Forgive me if I've explained this already, but basically, you'll look at this soft attack value here on the infantry. Their attack value is half as much as their defense. That is because infantry generally get a 50% attack penalty. They are designed for, not designed, but they work best in defense. They're not really great in assaults. Now that doesn't mean infantry can't be used in assaults, because they can, and you can, particularly if you've got some good armor and some good weapons later in the game, you can make infantry exceptionally effective. Where infantry do excel is when you place them into terrain. So if you look at these high mountains, infantry, they're able to get a big defensive modifier. Well, they don't suffer any attack modifiers when they're in it, or any more defense modifiers, whereas other formations would. Walkers and infantry can cope with these mountains, but more so they get a big entrenchment bonus as well. So they will automatically have a big defensive bonus from entrenchment when they're in mountains. But if you leave them a few turns for them to dig themselves in, they can really become a formidable force to get through, particularly if you've got a large number of them, like a whole division worth, for example. So infantry are really, really important. They're important right through the game, I understand. And I think I'm going to end the episode there, guys, because we're a little bit over time. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you're finding it informative. Please let me know what you think in the comments, like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.